the floor now to our director, Alberto Barbera. Thank you, President. Welcome you all present here in the beautiful library of ASAC and all those who are connected with us online. You know, the last week was quite troubled. The announcement of the strike of the actors and of the script of the scriptwriters has surprised all of us. It was difficult to come to the end of a program that had already been finalized. I must say that, luckily enough, the consequences of this strike that has very good motivations we can agree to, the impact is quite modest on our festival. The only movie we have lost as against
let's go, only one movie?
What we had planned is the opening movie, a beautiful movie by Luca Guadagnino, who has been postponed. Its commercial release has been postponed to April 2024. The producers, Amazon, MGM, and the international distributors, Warner Bros., have decided to withdraw the film that was replaced by Il Comandante by Edoardo De Angelis. The other American movies we had invited have been confirmed and will be present in the program of the festival.
What is it?
So allow me to thank producers, directors who have decided to confirm their commitment with us and who will be present in the world debut of their movies. A few stars will not be with us. Actors and actresses, members of SAG will not be present. We will have, however, actors and actresses who have worked in productions that are fully independent, and they are numerous in Venice. So we hope the red carpet won't be so empty as somebody has announced in the last few days. It will be a festival fully representative of contemporary cinema. A few figures: the films we have received were 4,061, 2,100 feature films, 1,961 short films. The countries represented in the selection are 54, more or less the same number as we have every year.
Yeah, but it's a lot. It's a lot of different countries.
A few gender figures. The titles directed by male directors proposed in the selection were 2,703, approximately 66% of the total. The female director movies, 1,298, approximately 32%, with a small percentage of directors who did not declare a gender, 60 movies, 1.48%. As regards the movies, we have selected 82 feature films, 14 short films, 29 of which are directed by women, with a percentage that amounts to 30%, slightly more than the last few years. We are still far from the gender parity we all hope for. It is a slow process that is, however, going on. Let us start with the program. Let us start with Biennale College Cinema. We have 3 movies developed and produced by Biennale College. L'anno dell'uovo, The Year of the Egg by Claudio Casale.
The Year of the Egg.
L'Ombrensueño, Fire Dream by José Pablo Escamilla. And Arni, a debut film by Dorca Vermes from Hungary. The movies will be screened on the 31st of August, on the 1st and the 2nd of September. The other section we are very proud of is Venice Immersive. The program has already been announced, and you should already know it. Venice Immersive is the first and most important competition dedicated to virtual reality. It takes place on the island of Lazzaretto, which is a reference, a world reference for those who deal with this new technology applied to art and creation. Allow me to thank Michel Riac and Liz Rosenthal for the great job they have done in scouting and selecting the projects. So there are a total of 44 from 25 countries,
Right.
plus 24 works in the non-competitive World Gallery session.
Competition.
28 projects in competition, 10 projects out of
24.
competition as Best of Venice Immersive. The best works already distributed or presented in other events after the latest Venice Film
What
Festival.
is this?
6 projects that were developed in Biennale College Cinema VR.
Eh.
And then, as I was saying, 24 worlds selected in the Worlds Gallery.
Right.
The other section
Gallery.
we have already announced is Venezia Classici, documentaries on cinema. I'm announcing the Venezia Classici part. We have not yet provided the names of
this?
the movies. 9 films, 9 documentaries on cinema in alphabetical order. The first is for Bill Douglas, My Best Friend,
Bill
by
Douglas.
Jack Archer,
My best friend.
Friend UK. Then we have a film with the curious title, Le film Pronazzi d'Hitchcock by Daphne Baiweir,
That is interesting.
a French-American production. Thank you very much.
You
That
very
doesn't
much.
say a lot with the title, but it is a documentary on Andy Kaufman by Alex Braverman, US.
And the
Landrian by Ernesto Daranas
Landrian.
Serrano, a documentary, a Cuban documentary for the
Cuban.
greatest
I'm taking so many
documentary
notes.
director from Cuba, who is not well known in the rest of the world. A work that was fought against by the Castro regime. A few documentaries on Italian cinema. Un'altra Italia possibile is the first by Il
I'm
Cinema
not
by
doing
Giuseppe
that,
De
that's too much.
Santis, by
Michel
Steve Della Casa, and then a documentary by Michel
Gondry,
Gondry, Do It
Do
Yourself,
It
François Nemeta, France, a documentary
and Jacobs.
dedicated to Ken Jacobs. Ken
There's a lot
Jacobs
of,
from
like,
Orchard Street
bio
to the
stuff.
Museum of Modern Art by Fred Riedel. The second Italian documentary, Dario Argento
Dario
Panico by
Argento.
Simone Scafidi. And finally, a documentary on Frank Capra, Frank Capra, Mr. America by Matthew Wells. And then we have the Orizzonti section. You know, it is divided in 2 parts, Orizzonti
Yeah.
short films and Orizzonti
Orizzonti.
feature films. For short films, you see the list here. They are a lot.
I'm
13 short films coming from all over the world.
Take a screenshot over here.
And very often, they help us discover new talents we will see in competition for Orizzonti short films. We have
and we are
a young
saving that
female
as
author who won
Orizzonti
the best short film award last year. We'll tell you later about that. As regards Orizzonti feature films, we have A Cielo Aberto by Mariana Santiago Arriaga, the children of Guillermo Arriaga, son and daughter of Guillermo Arriaga, who wrote a screenplay many years ago. They have brought on screen today a road movie, 3 boys who want to take revenge on the lorry driver who killed their father in a car accident. El Paraíso,
El
the third
Paraíso.
feature film by Enrico Artale. He had
Artale.
debuted in Venice with Terzo Tempo in 2013, and then the second
Does it ring a
movie,
bell?
and then he took part in TV series. He's back with this portrait of a 40-year-old man conditioned by a complex relationship with his mother until a Colombian girl arrives who will upset his life. You will discover why. Behind the Mountains,
El Jebel.
do not try to tell the original
the
title.
mountains.
Tunisian movie, the third by Mohamed Benatia, a well-known director
Better not try, because you
on
will
the
probably just
international
fail.
scene. His first movie got the Lourdes
Although I
d'Argent
tried.
at the Berlin Festival with his first movie, and
La
then he took
Biennale?
part in the Kanzen the Réalisateur, the
Right.
Kanzen the Cinéaste in Cannes,
Okay.
the story of a father who recently came out of prison and who is trying to reveal to his son a strange power he has. The Red Suitcase,
Is it
debut
this?
film,
Yeah, that was a short
coming
film, right?
from Nepal, a faraway country
Okay.
where
Not the same thing. The
cinema
short
is
film like that.
moving its first
Oscar
steps.
nominated last
A
year.
nice debut for a young female director, Fidel Tefkota. A story of ghosts,
Ghosts.
referring to the painful past of the civil war that has upset Nepal, but also contemporary themes like the recent
This is noted. This
migration
could be interesting.
wave from Nepal to the Gulf countries, looking for jobs there, and the detrimental consequences this has on the families that remained at home. A curious movie, Tatame,
Tatame.
by two directors,
Natif
a director and a female director.
Ibrahimi. Okay.
Guy
What's it about?
Natif, an Israeli director, and Zahra Mir Ebrahimi, who
Israeli.
is
Okay.
a well-known Iranian actress who had won an award in Cannes as Best Actress for
Wait.
the movie Holy Spider.
Oh,
Together,
it's her.
they co-direct a movie that
Oh, shit,
narrates a real story
She was
of
great.
a young judo wrestler from Iran who, during a competition, is asked to withdraw from the competition because she has to fight in the final match against an Israeli champion because of political reasons. You can imagine the story. It is the reconstruction of a real story, as I was saying. Paradise is Burning, debut film coming from Sweden. Another female debut film, the story of three sisters who are a small sister and two adolescents who are running the risk of being separated because of an absent mother and of lurking
None of these are on
social
Letterboxd yet.
services.
I see.
The Featherweight by Robert Kolodny is a second movie by a director of photography who also worked on important movies with Laura Poitras in All the Beauty and the Bloodshed that won the Golden Lion in Venice last year. This is one of the two movies dealing with boxing we will see in Venice. The story is set in 1964, the story of a former box champion who withdrew from the matches and at 50 decides to go back on the ring to reconquer the title.
Stephen Lang, I just saw in there.
The first of the three Italian movies we have in competition for Orizzonte, Simone Massi. You should know him, an extraordinary
does ring a bell.
artist in animation.
Yeah,
He's the author of the animated theme and posters of the first 4 editions of the film festivals from 2012 to 2016.
To be fair, the Venice one does stand
Some
out as one of the
films
best
of his
things.
have received important awards in Italy and abroad. This is the first animation feature film that has required a great work because he uses a special technique, extremely complex. It is an history of Italy seen from below, from a family of farmers during last century, witnessing the different historical events in the latest 100 years. Hesitation Wound by Selman Akar, the second movie by this Turkish director. The first movie was Between Two Dawns, presented in many festivals, awarded in the Festival of Turin last year, 2 years ago. This is the story of a lawyer, a female lawyer, who has to face an ethic and professional dilemma that will involve the destiny of her mother, ill mother, the judge
Okay.
of the trial she's involved in, and a suspected murderer whom she's trying to have acquitted. From
Okay.
Brazil, we have a
Fazemos
debut
por
film by two young
Heartless.
directors,
Nara
Sam
Normande.
Curaçao, Heartless, by Nara Normande and
Okay.
Tiao, developed from their short film that got an award in Cannes, in the Cannes Festival in 2014, the story of an adolescent in a small holiday village who is attracted by a girl, a local girl, who is defined as heartless, marginated from the rest of the village. The second Italian movie in Orizzonti is Una sterminata domenica by Alain Parroni, a debut film
Terminata
that will,
Domenica.
I hope, be at the center of the debate. Parroni makes a rigorous choice, abandoning traditional narrative models in Italian cinema to tell a story of nihilism and rebellion in the periphery of Rome.
Okay.
It is an almost purely sensory experience, visual and musical experience that aims at becoming the manifesto of a lost generation.
Mm.
From Mongolia, we have
Oh,
the movie of this young female director I was
Sal
mentioning before,
Sali
who won
City of
the
Wind.
short film competition Orizzonti last year, City of Wind by Dulma Purev Otkir. The story, again,
That's a
of two
difficult name to say.
adolescents, a recurring theme in many of the movies we will see this year in Venice.
Yeah. Saw bones and
The
all. I was like, this is a festival for this shit.
exploration of the dreams and desires of these girls and boys, an unexpected analysis of the sexuality of adolescents in a country where these themes are not easily discussed. And there is also a clash between modernity and tradition with a very personal and participated and sensitive look. And then a movie from
The
Hungary, the third movie by
the
Gabor Reitz, an explanation for everything. One of the movies that will be blamed for not including it in the main competition. I'm telling this to make you curious about it. The third movie by a promising director, a disquieting portrait of Hungary today. We recognize many similarities with other countries in Europe. I'm not saying anything more. I'm not saying anything more because you will discover it.
Gasoline Rainbow. That is
Then
a
a movie
interesting
by two
title.
American brothers, Bill and Turner Ross.
Of course, it's American. It's like
They come
I'm
from the
interested.
world
It's
of
American. Oh
documentaries.
no.
This is the first fiction film that, however, still maintains a documentary approach in telling the story of a group of girls and boys who, after the end of their high school experience, start for a journey to the sea,
Mm-hmm.
coming from a semi-desertic area in the central part of the U.S. They meet a lot of other boys and girls, music, and a description of the American landscapes, something quite typical of on-the-road movies, American on-the-road movies,
Yeah.
but with a very personal and original approach.
Okay. Thought it
Gasoline
was more
Rainbow,
like
the
how to
only
blow up a
French
pipeline.
film in Orizzonti by Céline
Really, only
Rousset, En
one.
attendant la nuit. It is a genre movie, a film of vampires. You
Okay.
expect everything from a female director, but a vampire movie. It goes
Huh?
beyond this genre. It
do you
uses this
mean?
metaphor to tell
What do you
about the
mean?
discomfort
All of the
in
Twilight
the
films were
youth
directed by a
world.
woman. What the fuck does he mean?
I will not add anything else.
Yeah, you shouldn't. What the fuck?
And then a film coming from North Macedonia, developed in the eighth
Housekeeping
edition
for
of
beginners.
Biennale College Cinema, a vibrant apologue on the family today in the Balkans, on the value of paternity, of fatherhood, on the difficulty of being gay and being gypsy in that country, in that region. Goran Stolevsky creates this utopic, enlarged family, a name you would not
Right.
expect in Orizzonti, although he had already won an award in Orizzonti 2 years ago, and then he was two-time in the main competition in Venice. Shinya Tsukamoto. The title of the movie is Okage. I'm not sure of the pronunciation.
Is that something that Kevin
Tsukamoto
is going to be
comes
interested in?
back
He's
to a
gonna
theme that
be
is
with me
important
there
for him,
in
the consequences of
Done.
war on human beings.
Sign.
In
Oh
this
wait,
case, a
mainly an
soldier
actor.
who was traumatized by
Tokyo
war, a
First.
woman
Damn. Okay.
forced
No,
to
he's gonna love this.
become a prostitute to survive, and a child who remained alone and who represents the ray of hope that closes the movie. I thank
Interesting.
Tsukamoto for accepting to come in competition in Orizzonti. I thank him very much for this.
Yurt.
The last movie in competition for
Dormitori.
Orizzonti is another debut film, a surprising film. I abuse sometimes. It makes us think of the debut film by Bellocchio, I pugni in tasca, an adolescent of bourgeois family sent to a college, an Islamic college, during the second half of the 1990s.
Okay.
It is the tale of religious integralism, homosexual pulsions, and political tensions. A movie that explains what are the origins, what the origins are of Erdogan's Islamic Turkey, and of the political elites of today. Burning topicality, a very topical movie.
Okay.
Orizzonti Extra is the section we inaugurated 3 years ago, a small section with
This.
new titles, debut movies, with an award attributed by the public and
Yeah.
supported, sponsored by Armani Beauty.
Armani
The
beauty.
screenings of
Course,
Orizzonti
always wearing
Extra
Armani.
will be in the evening at Sala Giardino, the Red Cube, with the presentation with the authors of the movies, and followed by meeting with the director and interpreters, moderated by Chiara Tagliaferri. The movies in competition are 9 this year. Bottaglione
Bottaglione.
by Luana Bayrami, a young actress from Kosovo, French naturalized, who lives and works in Paris. She has gone back to her country in Kosovo to shoot this movie set in the 1990s. Two adolescents coming from
Adolescents, once more.
a faraway village in the region to attend university. Again, another portrait
Can't
of
wait to attend
adolescence, of
Venice
the
and watch
hopes
400
and of
movies.
the betrayed
Oh my God.
hopes of a generation that has been abandoned after the independence, the newly obtained independence of Kosovo. The film is produced by Eric Toledano and Olivier Nagache, the directors of The Untouchables, a very successful French movie remade in many countries of the world. Forever, Forever,
Forever,
by
forever. I'm just
Anna,
gonna write that down.
one of the two movies produced this year, completed this year in Ukraine, a
Ukraine.
debut film by Anna Buryakova.
Aren't they all debut films? Let's say
It
that.
was shot before the beginning of the war, and
Okay.
it has been completed only recently with great difficulties. Another portrait of a young woman in a school context. Again, a theme we will see very often this year. And this is understandable because the adolescents, young girls and boys, were hardly hit by the pandemic. It is maybe a chance, but might not be a chance. From Argentina, we get a film by a female director, Daniela Goggi, with Italian origins. The fourth long feature film.
Oh wait, it's not a debut.
Her
I thought it
fourth
was all
feature
debuts
film,
in this
the
extra section.
kidnapping of an entrepreneur
I don't
after
get the
the
differentiation then.
coming back of democracy
Is
in
this like less
1985,
competition in
when
extra for the
the members
Orizzonti?
of the repressive services of police and the army of the generals were still operating in hiding, protected by the power.
They
We
oh,
find
oh,
again situations and
we skipped one.
themes we have seen in two movies, in two Argentinian movies in Venice, Argentina 1985 by Santiago Mitre and Il Clan by Pablo Trapero.
What is happening? Ah! Help! Oh no! They've lost it. Little bro doesn't know where he's at in the presentation. No! No! What are you doing? Oh, he's lost it.
The other
Okay.
film in competition for Orizzonti Extra dealing with boxing, the debut
Boxing.
movie of Jack Houston, a well-known actor.
Is he?
The Day of
I'm
the
not
Fight
familiar.
is the title, his first
The Day
film
of
as
the
a director.
Fight. Okay.
The last 24 hours of a boxer, a former champion who left the ring because of an accident, who decides to go back to fighting
Joe Pesci.
to
Von
regain the
Perlman.
title he had lost, well aware of the consequences this decision might cause. A pilgrimage to come to terms with his past, with the people he had in his life, his father with Alzheimer, his divorced wife, a friend of his who had become a priest, and his beloved daughter. A film that is full of quotations from the different movies on boxing of the American cinema, with a great mastery and a great emotional involvement. In the Land of Saints and Sinners by Rob Lawrence is
Ooh,
the
Liam
third
Neeson.
feature film of this American director. Irish
Eric
production,
Condon.
shot in Ireland. He was a collaborator of Clint Eastwood's. Rob Lawrence is setting this story in a remote Irish village at the time of civil war, with the attempt with bombings by terrorists. A ruthless killer deciding to abandon his profession, looking for redemption after a life of sins. I have anticipated the only Italian title
Felicita.
participating in the Orizzonti Extra competition, the debut movie by Micaela Ramazzotti, one of the best Italian actresses, who reveals a great mastery in telling the story of a young girl trying to make a career in cinema as a makeup artist, but she had to come to terms with a dysfunctional family. She has learned a lot from two movies that she has taken part in as a protagonist, La Pazza Gioia by Paolo Virzi and Vivere by Francesca Archibugi, and then you will understand why I mentioned these two movies. Pet Shop Boys, but first movie by Olmo Schnabel, with an important cast.
Willem Dafoe, Peter Skarsgård,
Jack
damn.
Iver, Dario Yatzbeck, the
Peter
brother
Skarsgård or Peter Skars?
of Garcia Benal, William Dafoe, Emmanuel Seigné, Peter Sarsgaard. A very original movie on two friends who have a very different characters. Alejandro running away from his Mexican family, and a shy Jack who has to face extraordinary experiences that will upset his life. Stolen by Karan Taipal is a debut film, as an Indian debut film. The last day before closing the program, we look on the platform where the movies are loaded. We see the last film we have to see, and we find a surprising piece of work. This happens quite often when selecting movies. And this is one of the most joyful moments in our work. We didn't know anything about this movie. It is a surprising piece of work. It starts as a social drama on the kidnapping of newborn babies with a racket that gives these babies to the families who can pay for them. But the movie develops in an
Like
action thriller,
Broker?
a
An
breathtaking
action
action
thriller.
thriller with chases and
I remain
lynchings built
doubtful.
with a surprising level of
Oh my.
tension. The last movie
L'homme
in competition for
d'argile.
Horizonte Extra, L'Homme d'Argile from France by Anaïs Tellen, the debut in
Okay.
directing of a young Belgian actress who works in France. It will certainly provide some surprises.
Oh,
Partially sexual, erotic movie
French.
on the myth of Gollum in a
It's fucking
romantic
French.
approach with
Of course
some
that's sex.
aspects of
It's
social critic.
French.
Somebody mentioned Ritratto Ovale, Oval Portrait by Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh my god.
A very good performance of the interpreters, Emmanuel DeVos and Raphaël Thierry.
What is this? Special
Out
screening?
of competition, there is a special screening, a documentary co-produced by Canal Plus and Rai Cultura,
I don't know if I
La
can.
parte del leone, una storia della mostra, an historic overview of stock material
Dog material for
and interviews made with protagonists of cinema of the past and of the present.
yeah, nah.
This is our choice to celebrate
Historical
the
thing, yeah.
80th edition
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the Venice Film
Of
Festival.
course, makes sense.
The documentary will then be screened, will be broadcast on the two networks, but it will be screened in the first premiere on the 2nd of September, Saturday, the 2nd of September. Out of competition,
Fuori
again,
concorso. Non-fiction. What's he doing again? Get out of competition.
out of competition, we have series.
D'argent et des
For
sang.
some time, we
Dude,
have been devoting
12
part of our program
episodes.
to TV series.
Oh my god, I watched a 6-episode
this
thing
year.
last year.
The first is
But Jesus
D'Argent et de
Christ.
Sang,
Vincent Linden.
By-
I think I know him.
written and produced by Xavier Giannoli, a director we know very well, as he has been in competition 2 times in Venice and many times in in Cannes. This is the showrun of the series of 12 episodes, 50 minutes each. We will see the 12 of them in a kind of marathon, subdivided in 2 parts. But the last day, there will be screened altogether 10 hours of screening. The episodes were directed by Giannoli and Frédéric Janson, with Vincent
Holy
Landon
shit.
interpreting the role of a magistrate.
Like, you'll be there for an entire
Entrusted
day for
in
12 hours.
2008 the responsibility for a new special corps
Did he say
to
15 or
contrast tax
50?
frauds.
50 makes more sense, right? Jesus Christ.
Tax
it's
fraud
so much.
against the TV VAT tax. A very famous robbery by a group of French gangsters trying to evade VAT with fake companies who managed to subtract more than 300 million euros to the
300 million.
tax authority. The story is told as a thriller, and we were really fascinated by it. The second series come from Bosnia-Herzegovina, signed by 2
I
showrunners,
know
Jasmila Zvanic
your soul. Okay,
and
2
Damir
episodes, a
Brom
bit more.
Damir Ibrahimovic, who have written and produced the series. We will just see 2 episodes of this series. At the center of the series, with 6 episodes, is the figure of a female magistrate having to face
It's
a
just, we've
story
been
of
here long, and we haven't even gotten to like the
bullism
main
and
competition.
suicide involving her
Our
son.
competition series.
A very good performance by the protagonist Jasna Duricic, who also interpreted Quo Vadis by Jasmila
I got it.
Banic, that
Went to
was
the
in
restroom
competition
real
in
quick.
Venice and that got many awards in the festivals around the world. Out of competition, non-fiction for documentaries. We start with Amor by Virginia Eleutheri Serpieri, a debut film by this young artist from Rome. It is part of those movies that use cinema to make up for a private breakout, the drama
What did I miss? We're starting
of
with A.
a depressed
Non-fiction.
mother, the aquatic story of Rome, and the
Amor.
fantastic mythology of
Virginia.
Amor
Deloitteri.
planet are transformed
Jesus,
into a
get
visual
shorter
poem,
names.
a
My God.
highly suggestive visual poem. Frente a Guernica
Versione
by Ervant Janikian,
integrale.
with the wife of with his wife, is the new movie prepared by Museo Sofia Reina of Madrid that has asked Janikian to describe the collection of material relating to this famous painting by Picasso. We are screening in Venice the longer version, director's cut, realized for the museum
Okay.
in Madrid. From Germany,
Hollywood Gate.
we have a documentary, Hollywood Gate. The title doesn't explain the content of the documentary. The director has an Egyptian origin, Ibrahim Nashat. After the abandoning of Afghanistan by the Americans and
Fuck
the
the Kelly just
coming
sent
in
me.
power of the Taliban, he managed to be accredited
I love the Irish.
with the new
What the fuck?
government
Okay.
of the Taliban, who allowed him to spend a whole year following the new commander of the air forces, of the Taliban air forces in Afghanistan, only shooting what he was allowed to shoot until the military parade that 1 year later celebrated the first anniversary of the Taliban revolution.
Ooh, letterbox.
What he shoots is so disquieting that it is
Get
really
20%
worth
off
seeing.
day passes in this year's Locarno Film
Hollywood
Festival.
Gate
Dude, I already got. I'm
is
accredited and
referring
everything.
to the inscription on the American hangar where the Air Forces, American Air Forces, were hosted before they left the country. Neo Sora, the son of Ruichi Sakamoto, has realized this documentary, and which is the shooting, the last solo piano concert of the father of the director, the last will, a testament and a legacy, a spiritual legacy for future generations of this great artist. He's alone in the studio in front of a piano, and he's performing some of his compositions for cinema, the most famous pieces he composed for
Yeah,
cinema.
Last Emperor, Revenant.
It is an extraordinary documentary.
Monster as well.
I'm still moved if thinking of it.
That was like one of his last ones. But
Another
maybe even
Italian
his last one.
documentary by Giorgio Verdelli, Enzo Iannacci Vengo Anch'io. Verdelli is specialized in creating documentaries on Italian artists. He was in Venice with documentaries on Enzo Bosso and Paolo Conte. Enzo Iannacci was a genius, a songwriter of the 1960s, 1970s in Italy. This movie has incredible stock material that allow us to rediscover or discover, if you were not lucky enough to follow his works, his
Give me some fiction stuff. Documentaries are interesting, but give me some fiction stuff.
freaky, genial approach to music. The last documentary out of competition is the latest documentary by Fred Wiseman, Menu Plaisir Les Trois Gros.
Frederick Wiseman, we do know him.
Fred Wiseman is
wouldn't say
93 years old.
I'm a fan of his.
He has made this documentary 4 hours long, and it is an incredible
4 hours
journey
long.
in the universe, in the mysterious universe that
And these
is
directors make shorter
behind,
movies, man. Why? Like Steve McQueen.
the stage of one of the
Especially when
most
it's a
famous
documentary. Wang Bing's
restaurants
was
in
fucking
France,
atrocious.
Les Trois Gros. A journey you cannot abandon because it is describing everything that is behind the creation, the choice of raw materials, the creation of new plates. If you love
Your mother.
cooking and restoration, this is an extraordinary journey for you.
Fiction.
Another section, fiction. The closing film is La Sociedad de la Nieve by J.A. Bayona, a
J.A.
Spanish
Bayona,
production for
Spanish.
Netflix, telling a
Netflix.
famous
First
story, the
Netflix
story
movie.
of the airplane that fell on the mountains dividing Argentina and Chile,
Oh.
with the survivors who
H.A.
had to
Bayona
remain
does
for
ring a
2 months in
bell.
extreme
Ewan.
conditions. A
What
survival movie,
bell? The bells are ringing.
extremely fascinating, with a group of very good young artists.
Ah, yeah.
Coup de chance,
He did
the
Fallen
new
Kingdom
movie
and The
by
Impossible.
Woody Allen, shot in France with a
Oh,
French cast
yuck!
in
Ah,
French.
fuck
But it is
off.
a Woody Allen movie,
Fuck that guy.
coming back to the themes he
Hopefully he's there
prefers.
so we can spit in his
Chance, the
face.
role of chance in our lives. Makes us think of Match Point, one of his masterpieces. Semi-serious reflection and melancholical reflection on the role of chance in our life.
Yeah, no, fuck that guy. Wes Anderson! Oh!
And then we have
It's a short film though, but
Wes Anderson, who has transferred on the screen
let's go!
some
Woo!
tales of
Another Wes Anderson
an
movie.
extraordinary writer,
Benedict Cumberbatch, Ralph
Roald
Fiennes, Dev
Dahl,
Patel, Ben Kingsley, Richard
The
Ayoade.
Chocolate Factory. These are short stories. The wonderful story of Henry Sugar, the longest of these short films,
Yeah.
drawing inspiration from Dahl's stories.
Yeah.
A typical stylistic universe of Anderson meets the surreal stories of this writer and creates this masterpiece, a small masterpiece. I'm saying small because it is only 40 minutes long, but
40
it
minutes.
is Wes Anderson in its most,
I mean, to be fair,
in
that's a
its
good
purest
dose
state.
of Wes Anderson.
Luca Barbareschi, The Penitent, the title of one of the latest
Catherine McCormack.
plays for theatre by David Mamet. Luca Barbareschi translated the text and brought it in the Italian theatres. Now he has realized this version for cinema. He interprets as the protagonist an American psychoanalyst who is the victim of an aggression campaign started on the social media after a patient of his made a killing in a school. The film is facing topical themes with with the typical polemic approach of the author, but with a great depth, as the text by Mamet requires. L'Ordine del Tempo, Out of
L'Ordine
Competition,
del
is the
Tempo.
latest movie by Liliana Cavani, who celebrated a 90th anniversary this year. She will be awarded the Golden Lion for a lifetime achievement. It draws inspiration
Golden
from an
Lion
essay with the
Lifetime.
same name by Carlo Rovelli. It is not a documentary.
Okay.
It is not an essay. It is a fiction movie with the story set in 24 hours in a villa on the sea with a group of friends, with the threat of a catastrophic event for our planet. You will discover the movie. Again, Out of Competition,
Vivant.
the new movie by Alix Delaporte, Vivant. Alix Delaporte was in competition in Venice in 2014 with Le Dernier Coup de Marteau, The Last Hammer Blow.
Rushdie Zem.
This is a collective movie on a
Zembe.
group of assault editors of a TV
great.
channel on reportage.
He had like the movie
on
himself
topical
last year in Venice, and he was
reportage, a
starring
great
in one.
performance of the actors.
One of them
with,
is out, the other one kind of missed. I don't know if
with
it came out.
Rushdie Zem, who is also performing a wonderful ballet on the music of the Bolero by Ravel, who is really worth the whole movie. Welcome to
Welcome
Paradise, a
to
short
paradise.
film by Leonardo di Costanzi, 24 minutes, realized with the students of Scuola di Cinema di Bobbio, Cinema School of Bobbio,
Don't know if I
directed
care
by Marco Bellocchio. They
less
produce
Wes
a short
Anderson.
film every year
Do I
with the
care about a short
students of the
film
course,
out of a festival?
covering the
Like
different technical roles.
Oh no,
Dali by Quentin
not Dali
Dupieux
again.
is the new movie of a
Get it?
director, of a cult director. He was in Venice a few years ago.
Yeah,
He was many times in Cannes.
yeah.
He surprises
Cigarettes are
us and
killing. What is it
entertains
like?
us with
Rubber.
his surreal works, with his humorism.
So it might be funnier than the
And
Daliland film, which
this
was
time
atrocious.
he jokes on the limitless narcissism of artists, in this case Salvador Dali,
Yeah.
interpreted
Oh my god, the other thing was
by
so
four
bad.
different actors who perform
This
the
might be
role
fun. This might be fun.
depending on the scenes. A very funny movie, very short also, 75
His movies
minutes.
are usually short. Right? No.
The Cane Mutiny Court Martial by William Friedkin.
That also rings a bell.
The version for cinema of a theater play
Sutherland, Jason
that is very
Clarke.
famous in the States,
Lance Reddick.
not so famous in Europe.
One of his last roles, then.
Brought on stage by many actors and directors
But
for
the Cane
theater.
Mutiny Court Martial.
At least another two versions for cinema. The first in 1955 by Edward Dmytryk with Humphrey Bogart, and the second in 1988 directed by Robert Altman for Showtime, with Michael Murphy in the main role. We have Kiefer Sutherland this time.
That's the director of
Showtime
the
is
Exorcist.
the
Yeah, I knew they got it.
Directed by William Friedkin, who has directed this
I definitely
movie,
gotta watch some of more of his
sitting on a
stuff.
wheelchair
I have not seen a
because
single
of his
film
problems.
of his. I still haven't seen
I
The
was on
Exorcist.
set and I saw that
Okay,
the
this
troupe
is
had
interesting.
an extraordinary relationship of admiration for the director. Making of by Cedric Kahn. Cedric Kahn
Cedric
is a
Kahn I
French
also know.
author who is not
Right.
yet valorized as it should be.
Cedric Kahn is
His second film this year.
wasn't Final
His
Cut.
first movie had opened the Cannes in Cannes,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
was received with a great success.
Wait, no, November.
This
Okay.
is a kind
Never
of
mind.
effect
Mixing
or
them up.
not, The Day of Night by Truffaut.
Cold War.
The story
Oh,
of
he's an
a
actor.
movie,
Wait,
of a film
no director.
in our
Press of
time,
Goldman. I missed that in Cannes, but
with
we'll be
union
watching it
problems
in a week or two.
conflicts. One of the most beautiful recent movies on the fascination and the difficulty of making films today. Agro Drift.
No! Travis Scott? What the fuck? What's happening? Hello? Did they have? They don't have a chat. Was it just me? I don't think it's just me. When I close my eyes, it's a fantasy. Fantastic lights, dream is done already.
Restless cinema maker in America. He was many times in Venice, also in competition, both loved and hated.
Apparently,
I do not know how to describe this movie.
my colleague is
cinema,
going
the
crazy
movie.
for
This is a
Corinne. I have
contemporary
not
artwork.
heard of this name.
It
ever.
might be in one of the pavilions of the
Spring Breakers.
Biennale Art exhibition.
Right. I didn't
But
like
it is
Beach Bum as
also
well.
perfectly
That's his work.
suited to this film festival. You will discover this yourself. Hitman, the latest movie by Richard Linklater.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
A director who
Let's
had
go!
great fun, and also we had great fun in watching the movie. It is staging an American psychologist who is working
Fuck yeah. Because it also got announced for
undercover
TIFF.
for the American police,
So we'll be playing in
disguised
Venice
as
too.
a killer who has to kill somebody. He disguises himself in a different way every time in order to have the committants arrested before they obtain their result. Glenn Power, the protagonist, who performs the role of the psychologist is irresistible.
Yuck! Ah!
Then the latest
Bah!
movie by Roman
Bah!
Polanski,
Why?
a long
Why? Why?
work to complete it. It finally reaches Venice, the palace.
Ugh.
His previous movies had won the jury award, great jury award
Woody
in
Allen and
Venice.
Polanski at the same
This movie
festival.
was written with his old friend
Amazing.
and colleague
We love that.
at the cinema school, Jerzy Skolimowski. The story has been anticipated by the magazines in the last few months. It is one day of preparation of the latest New Year's Eve in the year 2000 in a luxury hotel in the Swiss Alps with grotesque and surreal characters trying to
Oh, so it's a
satirize
documentary on himself? Fucking dickhead.
a humanity made of individuals who are unaware of their lack of humanity and social commitment. The last out of competition movie this year is a tribute to Pema Tseden, who is the greatest author in Tibetan cinema, a director, playwright, scriptwriter, who died a few days after completing this movie. He was 3 times in competition in Orizzonti. He also got an award with one of his previous movies. He disappeared on the 8th of May, and we thought it was compulsory for us to tribute him an homage. We have come now to the most important
All right.
part of this conference.
Venezia 80.
Venezia 80 competition.
competition.
Many movies, 23
The
films.
Hitman is out of competition.
23 like last year. I
23,
didn't
okay.
manage to renounce
So this
to
is
any of the movies that most
this is
convinced
stocks
me.
and fiction.
They are numerous, but they are all extraordinary. Out of these 23 movies,
Let's go.
15 are made by directors participating to the competition for the first time.
Okay.
The
15
first is Comandante.
Yeah, the opening film.
We have decided to choose to
Okay.
open
So I thought certain films are not going to
the
premiere,
film
but it was
festival
out of competition.
after
So they might still be in competition, like Ferrari, for example,
withdrawal of the
Maestro,
movie by
Poor Things.
Guadagnino. This movie is a great production effort by Edoardo De Angelis with Pierfrancesco Favino, a great interpreter.
The
The
Promised
other movies,
Land.
Bastarden, coming from Denmark. The director was
Mads Mikkelsen.
Golden Bear in Berlin and an Academy candidate in 2013 with Royal Affair. He had never been in Venice. He collaborates again with one of the
Mads
best
will probably not be
Danish
SAG, right?
actors,
They might even be there.
known also internationally, Mads Mikkelsen, who interprets a former officer of the Danish army who, in the mid 18th century, tries to colonize the deserted heathland in Jutland, only inhabited by Rom
Besson.
and gangsters. Dogman by Luc Besson.
Let's
I
go.
hope this movie that has convinced us will also convince those spectators and critics
I was looking forward
who
to
think
this.
that Luc Besson can only direct action movies.
Yeah.
This is much more than that. I'm not telling you anything about the plot. It is really surprising.
D E
It is a
F
monument
F
to an
Ferrari?
extraordinary
Ferrari
Australian actor, Caleb Landry Jones,
Ferrari.
who make
Come
a
on,
performance
come on,
that
come on.
will become memorable.
Adam Driver won't be there, but we'll take
You
Ferrari.
will discover this very soon.
Okay, no, we went.
Bonello had never been in competition in Venice. The title of the movie is La Bête. Lea Seydoux and George Mackay are the
Right.
interpreters.
Oh wait, it is directed by Lea Seydoux?
Freely in
Interesting.
referring to a tale by Henry James, a novel by Henry James, set in the future where emotions are a threat, and the protagonist, Lea Seydoux, decides to entrust to a company using artificial intelligence to allow individuals to
This kind of screams actor
re-experience
director,
their
to be
past
honest.
lives,
But I mean,
freeing
it could be
them
good.
from their emotions. An extremely topical movie.
Hors
Hors Saison
saison,
by Stéphane
off
Brisé.
season.
He was in competition in Venice already. For his 10th movie, he decides to abandon the comfort zone that has characterized his works
What would that
with a
be?
social theme.
Measure of Man,
He's
Another
telling of a
World, At
couple
War. Not
meeting
familiar.
again by chance
Might need
15
to do a bit
years
of a
after
catch
their
up
separation. He's a
for this
successful
festival too.
actor in a situation of crisis because he has rejected the possibility of going to theater, Guillaume Canet. She's a piano player, a pianist, Alba Rohrwacher, who lives in an isolated
Pianist.
village on the North Sea. She had never overcome the trauma of her separation. Great performances, great formal rigor, and a great emotional intensity by the director.
Enea.
Enea by Pietro Castellitto is the second movie,
Actor
really
director as well.
much expected. He really surprised us with this first movie. This is even more ambitious as a movie in terms of production as well. His first movie was I Predatori. He is interpreting the film together with many actors. You see the list of them, many of his relatives. We find the themes of his cinema. It is
I haven't seen any of his stuff either.
the story of Rome, periphery of
Breaks out.
Rome, a story of problematic families, young entrepreneurs, ruthless young entrepreneurs, drug smugglers, and DJs that are colluded with mafia.
E. E.
Great ugliness, a
F.
kind of great
Ferrari.
ugliness.
Come on.
Young
Come on.
people can
Maestro!
perfectly
Yes! Let's
recognize
go!
this.
Haha!
Maestro by
Not Ferrari,
Bradley
but
Cooper.
they're not going, I guess, alphabetically.
The news had circulated of this movie being in Venice, and it is so. This is the second work as a director by Bradley Cooper after A Star is Born, in competition this time. It is the
Right.
biography of an extraordinary genius, Leonard Bernstein. But Bradley Cooper is interested in only one aspect of his multifaceted life and activity as an artist. That is to say, the relationship with his wife, whom he loved despite their tormented love story. The wife is Carey Mulligan, and Bradley Cooper is Leonard
Carey Mulligan?
Bernstein in this film.
Priscilla! Let's go!
Again in Venice, Sofia Coppola
Priscilla!
coming back to Venice after many years with Priscilla
Damn.
is the title of the film. It is
Cool,
the attempt
cool.
to tell
We're missing out on Jacob
the
Elordi
real
getting
story
there,
of
man.
the young
The
wife
fucking producers got to
of
sort
Elvis Presley,
this shit out, man.
whom he
Just
met
pay them
in
so we can
Berlin
see
when
Jacob
he was already
Elordi.
famous, when he was serving in the American base in Germany.
Fuck the producers, man.
Something remarkable is that this movie is a co-production of The Apartment, together with Coppola's production house. And The Apartment, with this movie, is showing its determination to enter the international production stage. Finalmente l'alba by Saverio Costanzo,
l'alba.
another anticipated movie. Saverio Costanzo comes back to cinema after the international success of the first series of L'Amica
Willem Dafoe
Geniale he
again.
directed. This is the
How about
second
Robach again?
most important
Rachel
productive
Sennett again.
investment
Damn.
in cinema for Italy this year. Produced by Wild Side by Mario Giannani, again trying to build and cement his
Kokiri
production
as well.
company. A film with a great cast.
Yeah.
Italians and Americans, the story of the loss of innocence of a young girl who finds herself one day and one night in the golden world of Cinecittà of the
I
1950s,
fucking love
a
Lily James.
fascinating but
So
cynic and cruel world.
yeah,
The
best thing.
reconstruction of the time is
Lubo.
great. You will discover this. Lubo by Giorgio Diritti. It was a discovery. I'm not a great fan of Giorgio Diritti, but I must admit this. Diritti really not only surprised me, but also convinced me with an
Not a fan of
extraordinary
him.
film, the real story of Lubo Moser, a young Yenish, one of the three ethnic group of the Gypsies of a German origin
I haven't seen
that
any of his
lived
films,
in Switzerland in the
but
1930s,
this one I've seen this.
persecuted by the Germans, but also by the Swiss,
The Swiss. That's what I am.
because there was
Me.
partly governmental program that authorized the kidnapping of the children of the Yanish to cancel the problem of nomadism in Switzerland. These children were sent to religious institutions. They were taken away from their parents, who lost contact with their children. The children were given to Swiss families, treated like little slaves, young slaves,
Ah, yeah, yeah.
forced to sleep
Fading Boob is what that's called.
with the animals they had to take
Yeah,
care
yeah.
of.
We got a whole
A
bunch of
terrible
films about that,
story.
but I guess it's not a like, I
The
don't know,
Swiss
worldwide. They don't
government
really know that.
admitted the responsibility
Oh, it was
for
horrible.
only lately, and they
Unless this
never
is something different.
paid
I don't know why it's called Lubo.
compensations to the families of the gypsies. A surprising movie, a very long movie, 3 hours, full of unexpected
3 hours. Okay.
events I will
Noted.
not tell you about.
Yeah.
It
Better
is
not.
like a feuilleton full of pain and social denunciations.
Oh yes, yes.
Ava
Ava
DuVernay,
DuVernay.
for the first time in competition, a black American director, well known in the US, less known in Europe. The title of the film is Origin, taken from an essay of
Let's
the
go.
Pulitzer
Nick
Prize
Offerman, Vera
winner
Farmiga, John
Isabel
Barenfall.
Wilkerson.
Yeah. Cool, cool, cool.
It sold many copies in the US in 2020, and it changed forever the discussion on racism in the American society in the US. The film, an ambitious film that mixes its nature of an essay as to the style of a biography to discuss Isabel Wilkerson's thesis stating that racism is based in the divisions that are typical of each society and based on the system of castes that prevent the movements among different castes between
Yep.
blacks and whites, for example. Castes, therefore, are one of the major causes of social injustice. We have to come to terms
The
with.
Killer. Yes.
The
Fuck
Killer
yeah.
by
Woo!
David Fincher. The Killer by David Fincher is another widely expected movie produced by Netflix. Fincher had not been in Venice after Fight
Oh
Club.
my God.
It was
Yes.
in Venice in
Yes.
1999
Yes.
with my first direction. It was
Sorry, I had to
not
message a whole bunch of people. As like, The Killer is
well
in
received
Venice.
in Venice, although it became a cult movie later.
It's not
It
a
was
haunting in Venice.
too
Not going to be in Venice,
disconcerting,
but the
too
killer.
surprising
The killer's
for the
going to be in
time.
Venice.
It divided both the audience and the critics. This is a thriller. I am not telling you
Yes.
anything about the plot.
Uh-huh.
I will just add that it is taken from a graphic novel, a French graphic novel by Jacquemont and Magds. The director wanted to bring it on screen, and he has done so with a couple of important interpreters, Michael Fassbender and Tilda Swinton.
Memory.
Memory by Michel Franco. He was 2 times in competition in Venice. This is the 3rd time. This is an American independent production set in New
Jessica
York.
Chastain,
New York is the third character, together with the two main
Meredith
characters,
Weaver,
Jessica
Elsie
Chastain
Fisher.
and Peter
Ooh,
Sarsgaard.
okay. Okay.
We know nothing
So far,
about
I kind of want to watch
the
all of the
movie.
films
You
in
do not find
competition.
anything on
Pretty
this
good.
movie
Pretty good selection for
on
competition.
the web. He was he kept everything secret. You will discover it when you see it. Io Capitano is another Italian movie in competition by Matteo Garrone.
Apart from the
Much
Italian films,
discussed,
which I'm not
the
too
contemporary
interested in,
odyssey
to be
of two
fair.
young African girls starting from Dakar, following the dream of reaching Europe, and they are forced instead to discover the difficulties in the desert, the tension centers in Libya, and the dangers in crossing the Mediterranean on this
Wait, so we got 23 in this. We have so far 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
poor ships.
8, 9,
Garrone
10,
is
11, 12,
abandoning
14,
his
15,
Baroque
16.
style
We still have 7 more to go.
and chooses instead a very simple and direct style of narration, taking the point of view of the two protagonists.
Evil does
And
not
then a
exist.
surprise.
Wait,
for
what?
us
I
when
just
we
saw the
found
director.
it on our platform.
No, Rizuka Hamaguchi.
Nobody knows that Amaguchi, after winning the Academy Award with Drive My Car,
Ah,
was working
what a
on
good
new
selection!
project.
Jesus Christ.
If It Does Not Exist is the title of the film, as against Drive My Car, that was a film of 3 hours. This is just 1 hour and 46 minutes and tells of a
Short.
company in Tokyo that is trying to build a luxury camp camping resort in a village in the mountain, endangering the environmental balance and has to clash against the opposition of the local population. For us, it was love at first sight.
Green border.
The Green Border,
She's struggling to
a
say the name.
Polish movie by Agnieszka Holland,
Okay,
another
never mind.
movie we
She's
know
got it.
nothing about.
Sorry, I doubted you, Queen.
It was shot in semi-hiding because the theme is unfriendly to the Polish government. It describes a dramatic, surprising story of illegal immigrants eluded by the Belarusian authorities, that they can enter Europe through the Polish border, and when they get there instead, they are rejected by the Polish police. They are sent back to Belarus and again sent back to Poland in this endless carousel that has cost the life of thousands of people, causing suffering and pain, with the total indifference of the rest of Europe.
Die Theorie.
The Theory von Allem is a
Von
debut
Allem.
film. It can be considered as a debut film because Tim Kroger had only made another movie that was
I'm not familiar with
a
it.
movie made for the School of Cinema of Berlin. It was presented in Venice last 7 years ago. This
Trouble of
movie
being
instead will
born.
be distributed, commercially distributed.
Impossible
It
Picture.
is one of the first movies we have seen in January this year, and we were conquered by the ambition of this director, creating a purely cinematic
I mean, it's
imagination
Get
with
into
different quotation
like,
coming from
not
going from
horizontal.
Wells to Fassbinder to Ulmer, Lang, Siodmak, Hitchcock, without forgetting the Italian B movies of the 1970s. This film is
Big
a
endorsement.
gothic nightmare,
Okay.
a metaphysical melodrama full of science fiction, digging under the mountain of classical German cinema to create a new mythology for contemporary cinema. You will tell us whether we were wrong. It is a really fascinating
will,
film. You
but,
do not understand everything,
intriguing.
but it
It
is
sounds
really
intriguing.
fascinating.
Right. Four things. Yes. Yes.
Four
Yes.
Things
Let's
by
go.
Yorgos
Oh my
Lanthimos,
God. What a lineup.
widely announced in the previous months, coming back of Lanthimos to Venice, who won an award with this previous movie.
Confirmed.
This is a film that works
Wow.
with fantasy and a great
What a
richness,
stunning cast.
visual richness,
Margaret
the
Qualley, Gerald
Gothic
Carmichael,
cinema
Catherine
themes.
Hunter,
The
Christopher
interpreter,
Abbott,
Emma
Willem
Stone,
Dafoe,
who
Mark
will not
Ruffalo,
be with
Emma
us
Stone.
because of the strike,
Yeah,
she
of course.
is really unchanged. She's like a Frankenstein, a female Frankenstein, a young woman brought back to life by a crazy, genial scientist, interpreted by William Dafoe. She runs away from her creator, and a lawyer falls in love with her, and she starts a journey across the continents, uh, sexually voracious, which is one of the unexpected aspects of this movie.
Okay.
A breath of fresh air as against the conformity we find in contemporary cinema.
El
El Conde
Conde.
by Pablo Larraín,
Pablo
another
Larraín.
return
Cool.
of an author who has been in Venice many times.
Yeah.
You know everything about the movie.
Yep.
A baroque version of the vampire genre
Spencer,
with
probably his
Pinochet,
most well known.
who is not dead
Also did
really, who
oh wait,
wakes up
producer.
after the funeral to
There you
go
go.
on sucking the blood, both
Exactly.
metaphorically and reality of his fellow citizens. A harsh political attack to his country that wasn't able to come to terms with its past. And that uh,
Ferrari.
did not
Yes.
send the dictator to a
Okay.
trial.
This is
The
a
new
home run.
film by Michael Mann, who
A
has been absent
home
from
run when it comes to the
festivals
selection.
for many years.
Let's
He
go.
has worked to this project Ferrari. He mentioned this when he chaired the jury in Venice in
Fuck yeah.
2012. He went to Maranello on that
Man,
occasion
Maestro,
to meet the
Priscilla,
management
the
of
killer,
the Ferrari plant.
Poor Things,
This
Ferrari,
project has been completed.
like all of the big
film
films you'd expect.
focuses
And
on a
then-
brief period, the crucial
And the rest also looks really
years
intriguing. That
of
didn't
the
have like
crisis
hype
of
yet.
this company,
Oh man.
the years of the tragic accident that will stop the Mille Miglia competition, and telling the story of the family crisis of Ferrari and his wife, with many human nuances.
Man, Michael
Allow me
Mann
to add that
has some
only
bangers.
hardly did a foreign
I only just recently
director
watched
recreate
Heat for the first time. It's my first Michael Mann film.
situation of Italy
So I'll
in
be
those
watching
years.
a whole bunch of them actually.
Adagio
get
by
through most-
Stefano
wait.
Sollima is the last
Yeah, wait.
Italian movie in
Oh, okay.
competition. Sollima
Let me
comes
do this
from
real
a series of
There's Heat 2. I just saw that there's
successes,
Heat 2. What the
with
fuck?
action movies and TV series that have become an international point of reference. Sollima is
fuck is
still
Heat
waiting
2?
for the recognition of the role he deserves
Oh,
in
that's the
the
film that's
important
okay. I
Italian
was about to
cinema.
say. I knew that was like.
Author
I just
cinema,
thought it was already
Italian
out.
author
What the
cinema.
fuck?
I think Adagio is a real breakthrough in this sense. It is a dystopic film on a city of Rome surrounded by fires looming on the capital. The film is like a cathedral celebrating the funeral of the characters and the themes that have made Romanzo Criminale and Suburra two cult series, telling about this genre series, contemporary Italy, telling about this type of Italy better than any other kind of cinema. Another Polish film in
Woman
competition,
of-
unfriendly to the government again, realized by Malgorzata Szumowska and Michael Englert, The
Okay.
Woman of. It tells the story, the real story, for most of it, of a transsexual person who marries and decides instead he is a woman, she is a woman, and makes this step at the end of his life after fighting
Shut up.
against bureaucracy and the hostility of most people around her.
There you go.
Poland is one of the most transphobic countries in Europe, but this is not a militant film. It is a kind of a melodrama stressing feelings, frustrations, desires of those who would like to have their rights recognized. The
All right. Holly.
the protagonist is a real transsexual actress.
Ah,
The
great.
last filming competition is Holly by Fian Troch, who had
Bien.
won the award as best film in Orizzonte in 2016, and the jury
Oh ho.
had been long-sighted on that occasion because Troch is coming back with an extremely
Some people that did
mature
like it.
film facing the
Max, what do you
theme
gotta say to
of
this? Oh, not good.
discomfort in adolescence. A girl who has a strange power, special power. I won't tell you more. I'm not
Okay.
telling you more about a film that is playing with the codes of horror movies, although in the
Okay.
end it is a love movie.
That's it.
So we have come to the end of this
Ooh.
conference.
It's only 90 minutes
I
long, man.
wasn't
Aye, aye.
quite short. I hope you are curious about the program. Allow me, however, to express my gratitude. I want to thank the American productions and the American directors who have decided to be here in Venice. Allow me to thank President Roberto Ciccutto,
Yeah, I don't know if this hurts to
whose
strike.
support
I mean,
and
it would be a bigger
collaboration
thing if they
has
not
enabled me
attended.
to work in
I don't know.
full
I don't know.
autonomy. I want to thank
Probably would
the
be better for the strike if
director,
they didn't attend.
the general manager of Biennale, Andrea Del Mercato, a great organizer who's leading an extraordinary team of technicians, stage designers. We are being admired and complimented by all the participants who discover how the Venice Film Festival can be efficient. I want to thank Ufficio Cinema, the cinema.
I think we come to a close to the actual relevant things, but yeah, that's it. The whole selection from Venice looks really promising. I mean, I ended up just taking the notes here, which I can show like this. There you go. Just because like for most of them you wouldn't find them on Letterboxd, or it might be like some other title, or like, so I just wrote them all down. The docs at the start. I missed some. Orizzonti, I got all of them. And I will be making this into a full list. We had the series here, the 12 episodes for one thing is crazy. Especially if it is not 15, but 50. That is like, I know on the last day last year, they screened the Netflix series by Nicholas Holding Refn, Copenhagen Cowboy, and they split it, the 6 episodes that they had, split it into 2, and that was already like super long. And he said they're gonna split it into 2, which is like, 6 hours each. So I don't know, maybe I heard that wrong, but that just sounds crazy to me. And I am accredited for TIFF, so I might even not be there anymore by the end. But it's looking like I might skip out on TIFF if there's a bunch of repeats as well. Plus it's a lot of money. But yeah, movies, nonfiction. There's some interesting stuff. The Ryurichu, I butchered his name, Sakamoto here. To see that from his son might be really interesting. Fuck Woody Allen and fuck Roman Polanski. Yeah, I guess I'll be watching the films, so I watch all of the stuff. Even, I mean, I guess it's outside of competition, but yeah, it's a bit annoying. That especially in Cannes and in Venice, they are still like given the place to premiere their stuff. But yeah, the last few of their films were shit, anyways, and I don't think I've ever liked the Woody Allen film. Anyways, Polanski's got some decent ones, but yeah, Wes Anderson back with the wonderful story of Henry Sugar, 40-minute long short. It's gonna be interesting. And then yeah, we got some interesting like cast in even some films that might be international as well. So there's a draw for pretty much anything here. Dali, that could be funny. Cedric Kahn could be interesting. Then Acro Drift is just also with Travis Scott interesting. And then I'm really looking forward to Richard Linklater's Hitman. And then in competition, man, that's just really stacked. The 23 films that are competing. I mean, we got Ferrari, we got Poor Things. We got Evil Does Not Exist from the Oscar winner Ryosuke Hamaguchi. Memory looked interesting. The Killer, Origin from Ava DuVernay. Yeah, Priscilla, A24 film, Maestro, Bradley Cooper's not directorial debut, but yeah, another film of his. Dogman, a bit of different from an action director. And yeah, Promised Land starring Mads Mikkelsen, Danish film. And even like this Finalmente l'Alba with Lily James, Rachel Sennett, and Willem Dafoe. So lots of interesting stuff here. Yeah, subscribe. I guess not on this channel because this is just like a bunch of stuff goes up here from like, I don't know, trailer reactions to whatever. I guess this is kind of the first video, long form video that goes up here. But thanks so much for tuning in. Check out the podcast where we will be covering this festival extensively, and my main channel, Ewan. You'll find all of the coverage for everything film over there. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.